Have you ever felt like you're constantly busy but never truly moving forward? Like you're doing everything you're supposed to do but still end up feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and stuck? What if I told you that doing less, yes, doing less, could actually unlock your greatest potential? This isn't some productivity guru nonsense, it's real. And it's time to stop running in circles and start living intentionally. Welcome to Book Play, the place where we take the most transformative books and turn them into actionable lessons for your life. Today, we're diving into a book that'll make you rethink how you spend your time. It's called The Not To-Do List by Rolf Dobelli, and trust me, if you're between 18 and 30 and want to avoid burnout, then this book is a game changer. Stick around, because I'm about to show you how Max, a guy just like you, transformed his life by doing less. Now let me introduce you to Max. He's 25, smart and ambitious. He works a 9-to-5 job, hustles on the side with personal projects, and like most people his age, is glued to his phone checking every notification that pops up. Max is that person who thinks productivity equals success. He's always busy, sometimes even overwhelmed, but he just can't shake the feeling that something is missing. But then one night, Max found the Not To-Do List. At first, he thought it was just another self-help book about productivity, something that promised to tell him how to do more and get more done. But no, this book wasn't about doing more. It was about doing less. Sounds crazy, right? Well, Max was skeptical at first, but as he read, he realized he was onto something huge. Let's rewind. Max had always struggled with this idea of being busy but feeling unproductive. He had been doing all the right things, following productivity blogs, filling his schedule to the brim, and saying yes to every opportunity that came his way. But despite all that, he never felt truly successful. He felt drained, stuck in a loop, and often frustrated with his progress. But as Max read through the Not To-Do List, it was like a light bulb went off. Dobelli's approach wasn't just about how to do things, it was about what not to do. The truth hit Max like a ton of bricks. All his busyness wasn't moving him forward. And that's when the real transformation began. Takeaway number 1, the power of saying no. Max's first major revelation from the book was this: saying no is a superpower. You see, Max was the type of person who couldn't say no. Whether it was an extra project at work, a last-minute dinner invite, or a request from a friend, Max always said yes. He was terrified of disappointing people or missing out, but Dobelli made him realize that every time he said yes to something, he was actually saying no to something more important. And I get it. You're probably thinking, but what if I miss an opportunity? Believe me, Max thought the same way. But here's the thing, not every opportunity is worth your time. Saying no wasn't about closing doors, it was about opening the door to what truly mattered. Max started saying no to things that didn't align with his goals, no to distractions, no to requests that didn't bring him closer to his dreams. And here's the kicker, his life didn't fall apart. In fact, it got better. His energy levels skyrocketed and he started seeing real progress in the areas he cared about most. Takeaway number 2, focus on the important, not the urgent. Now, Max's second epiphany was this: urgency is not the same as importance. We live in a world that screams for your attention every second. Urgent emails, texts, phone calls, social media updates. It feels like if you're not responding immediately, you're falling behind. But Dobelli points out something crucial. Just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it's important. Max used to get caught up in this trap. He'd drop everything for a phone call or rush to respond to an email the second it came in. But by focusing on the urgent, he was neglecting the important. He wasn't spending enough time on his long-term goals. He wasn't working on the projects that truly mattered to him. Once Max realized this, he started to prioritize his time. He cut back on responding to every little thing that popped up. Instead, he focused on deep work, something that didn't demand immediate attention but had a much greater long-term payoff. And you know what? His productivity went up. Takeaway number 3. Avoid the comfort of the familiar. Max's third lesson was this: comfort is the enemy of growth. We all know the feeling. You come home after a long day, and the first thing you do is plop down in front of Netflix. You settle into your familiar routine. But comfort, as Dobelli explains, doesn't lead to growth. In fact, it can keep you stuck. Max used to love his comfort zone. After all, who doesn't love the safety of routine, right? But then, he started to realize that the very things that felt easy were holding him back. Instead of challenging himself, he was falling into a loop of sameness. So Max made a decision. He started embracing discomfort. Whether it was taking on a new challenge at work, trying out a new skill, or going out of his way to meet new people, Max pushed himself to grow. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't always fun. But soon enough, he started seeing the rewards, both personally and professionally. His life became richer, more fulfilling, and way less predictable. Takeaway number 4. Stop trying to be everywhere. Max's fourth realization was this: you don't need to be everywhere or do everything. There's this myth that in order to be successful, you have to be constantly on the go. You've got to be at every event, attend every meeting, know every trend. But that's exhausting. And frankly, it's unnecessary. Max used to spread himself thin, attending every social gathering, saying yes to every group project and trying to stay up to date with everything. But he realized that by trying to be everywhere, he was actually diminishing his impact. Instead of being really good at a few things, he was mediocre at many. Max started focusing on what truly mattered to him and saying no to the things that weren't serving him. He prioritized his health, his core relationships, and the projects that brought him joy. And with that focus came a sense of peace. His life wasn't chaotic anymore. He had space to breathe, to think, to create. Takeaway number 5. Embrace the power of inaction. Here's a big one for Max. Inaction is sometimes the most powerful action you can take. We live in a world where we're constantly encouraged to do something, anything to stay productive. But Dobelli challenges that. He says that sometimes doing nothing is the best thing you can do for yourself. Max used to think that he had to constantly be doing something, working, learning, networking. But when he read this chapter, he realized that constant action was actually draining his energy and creativity. So he started allowing himself time to do nothing, to step away from work, to simply be. He took walks without checking his phone, read books for leisure, and spent weekends with no agenda. And you know what? He came back to his work refreshed, more creative, and more productive than ever. Takeaway number 6. The value of reflection. Max's final lesson from the book was about the power of reflection. We're all so busy running forward, trying to get ahead, that we forget to look back and think about how far we've come. Dobelli urges us to stop and reflect regularly. It's not enough to just do. We need to think about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and if it's really moving us forward. Max started setting aside time every week to reflect. What worked? What didn't? What should he stop doing? What should he do more of? This practice allowed him to adjust his course, learn from his mistakes, and make smarter decisions moving forward. By the end of his journey with the not-to-do list, Max had transformed his life. No longer overwhelmed, no longer spread too thin. Max was focused, intentional, and living with purpose. His relationships improved, his productivity skyrocketed, and he was finally on track to achieving his long-term goals. The biggest lesson Max learned was simple. Doing less gives you the freedom to do more of what matters. If you want to break free from the hamster wheel and start making real progress, then this book could be your game changer. If you're ready to stop being busy and start being productive, it's time to get your hands on the not to do list. Trust me, it's one of the most transformative books you can read. If you liked Max's story and you want more life-changing insights, hit that like button, subscribe to BookPlay, and don't forget to share this video with a friend who could use a little less stress and a lot more focus in their life. Let us know in the comments, what's one thing on your not to do list? Thanks for watching, and remember, it's not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it better. Until next time, keep playing with your books and keep leveling up.